Welcome to the Kubeflow community meeting for February 6, 2024. I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting is governed by the Kubeflow Code of Conduct, which is also the CNCF Code of Conduct, and along with this meeting is being recorded. So would like to ask everyone to be on their best behavior, or try to be. We have a big agenda today. Typically, we will run through the release updates, and then we're going to talk about the steering committee and some other new projects, and then get into the meeting. If anybody wants to introduce themselves, I'll give them a minute or two to say hello. Does anybody want to say hello before we get started? Introduce themselves. Anybody new to the community?
Well, I can go ahead. I think this is my first time. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Diaz. I'm based in San Francisco. I'm the founder of Kubo, which is a Docker in Docker distribution based on kind images. And our goal is to make sure all the software running for AI and ML runs perfectly in that distribution. Thank you for having me here.
Welcome, Alex, and this is very exciting to have you here. And I think this is a topic and something that will be greatly interesting to our users and to our developers. So I'm glad you're here. And we always look to add, the top expertise and to help with the tool set that people are using in ML Ops. So thank you for joining. And we definitely want to make sure that we make this meeting valuable use of your time. Anyone else want to say hello? Okay. Let's make sure we get to Alex, put that on the agenda. All right. Kubeflow 1.9 update. Ricardo, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Would you like to walk us through this?
Yeah, sure. So, the community 1.9 release schedule is already released. This is the link with all the dates we have. Like I discussed on last community meeting, we'll have a mid-checkpoint meeting beginning March to check if we made a good progress. We're expecting more than 50% done. And there's the release dates that we're still worried about because it's the middle of the July 4th US holiday. But I think we can only adjust those dates accordingly when we have the mid-release team checkpoint. That's basically what we can talk about the schedule. We've seen some good progress on some working groups. Others will need some more insights, more updates from them. So it's something I'll ask the working group listeners to help me on that, to gather more feedback on updates on each working group development. I guess I'll set out a message today in the release channel to discuss about the details we're looking for to get more updates on each working group. I'm preparing the roadmap docs for 1.9. I have a PR for that, but I'll need some more eyes on it because we're looking for the most important features that will be aggregated into 1.9. So I'll need the working group listeners and the community some help on that. And for distributions, we have a good number of distributions and platforms that are willing to work on the distribution test. Still need some answers for some distributions and platforms, but I'm confident that we're in a good path for that. I guess this is all the updates I can share about 1.9. Maybe Stefano can bring some more comments on that. Maybe not. All right, back to you, Josh.
Thank you, Ricardo. You're doing a great job there. I think that my view here would be that if we are going to use any tagging on the issues that, or the PRs that we're looking to develop, it'd be nice if the working group leads could start to tag the P0s or the P1s, the ones that they would block the release on. And as we're welcoming new people into the community, if there's a tag for good first issue,
Steering committee.
might be nice if some of the issues that are items that are being worked, if any of them could be tagged as good first issue or PR, might be helpful for new people coming in. So we can recruit folks into the working group meetings and give them some work to do that's relevant to their skill level. But this is great work, Ricardo. Very impressive, the way you've come along. Just a question to you. How much time are you spending on this a week so far?
Well, I would say I'm not spending too much of my time. I have some people asking me for help. It's pretty much new for us, helping in release, especially myself. So I don't know, maybe spending 3 to 4 hours a week, since excluding, of course, the release meetings and the community one. So let's just say 8 hours a week.
Okay, so that is just a relative number for folks. Ricardo's kind of new to the position, so if this was his second or third release, maybe he would have it a little less. But just relative number there for people who are looking to take on probably one of the most significant positions in the community, give you an idea of what's involved there. Ricardo, thank you for all your work so far, and definitely keep the good work up.
Thank you, Josh.
I think we had an update on 1.8.1. I don't know if Daniela's here today. Does anybody from the release team want to give an update on what they heard on 1.8.1?
I can do that. So 1.8.1 is expected to bring on fixes for pipelines, manifests, and notebooks. But so far, we didn't have a promptly response time for the notebooks working group. So we're expecting to bring on the 1.8.1 release without the notebook fixes, while the notebooks working group works on the fixes needed for 1.8. After that, we can plan on having 1.8.2 release for carry on the notebooks fixes.
Oh yeah, sorry. You were excluded from a chat accidentally. I didn't realize you were involved. I should add you to that chat. But we were talking about this exact thing. Yeah, so we can definitely do that if we have to. There's a couple of things we could still put in 1.8.1. If we want to cut that today, let's say, or whenever. But I need to add it to that chat. Are you okay, let me add you. Just Ricardo.
Yeah, not a problem, Matthew. We can sync up after meeting if needed. But probably we'll need to sync up with Danielle as well.
Yeah, she's in the chat as well. Sorry, I'll add you to it.
Okay.
All righty. Okay, so that's 1.8.1. Are there any users out there right now that are waiting on 1.8.1?
I don't know about in this call, but I definitely see a lot of issues related to 181 on certain environments in notebooks.
Really good. All right, I'm going to keep moving on because we've had tough time finishing this meeting in 30 minutes, 60 minutes. Steering committee updates. So, Yuan, would you like to kind of take us through some of the things that went on with the steering committee, please?
Yeah, hi everyone, this is Yuan from the steering committee, and we just had our first steering committee after the forming of like 3 additional committee members. So the first item is regarding CNCF CLA or DCO. We haven't reached a consensus yet. And we'll be reaching out to some legal experts on this and hopefully reaching a consensus by next committee meeting. We'll keep everybody posted on that. And the second item is to form a Kubeflow technical oversight committee. That I believe that's on top of our list, and we want to do that as soon as possible. I believe Amber is working on a proposal for that. We'll follow up with Amber on the process. And the third item is moving regarding Slack workspace. So we currently have Kubeflow, dedicated Kubeflow Slack workspace. And the decision is to move everything to CNCF Slack while keeping the Kubeflow Slack workspace active. And we'll be gradually moving towards the CNCF Slack. And the last item is KubeCon Europe. So I just heard back from KubeCon Europe team, and they accepted our proposal for a dedicated project kiosk or project booth during KubeCon Europe. It's gonna be on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday mornings, but we'll need someone to be on the list of the primary contact and make sure we have staff, we have maintainers around the project booth during the entire time. So we'll be working on that with perhaps with the Kubeflow Summit committee. Yeah, that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions.
I mean, obviously, I want to know what the Slack stuff looks like because obviously, the Slack is very popular and it is growing. And as I said, a lot of people are using it in private channels, like about 75% of messages, not private, but like direct messages. So just like it is, for better or worse, even if it has problems, it is a nexus point for the community, and we really need to be careful not to break it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so the decision was to keep the current Slack workspace. It's still gonna be there, but we'll be gradually moving to the CNCF Slack because that's recommended by CNCF, and it's easy to collaborate with other projects as well. So we'll be observing the adoption of the new Slack channels going forward once those channels are created. Does that make sense?
I mean, I think that was kind of what we were saying, but similar to what we were saying before, where we could just have both. I'm not saying what I was suggesting originally was just that we continue to have a presence on the CNCF Slack, but that's kind of what you're saying. Because if we publicly say we're moving everything, it could send a bit of a confusing message if we're also keeping the other one.
Yeah, so the end goal is to move towards the CNCF Slack because that's where most of the projects collaborate with each other, and a lot of the maintainers of Kubeflow are already there anyways. So we think it's better to move to the CNCF Slack.
Are we talking about for maintainers or are we talking about for end users? That's the part that I'm covering.
Both. Yeah, both actually. Yeah, there are more than a lot of users on CNCF Slack. So they may come from other projects and search for Kubeflow they may start using Kubeflow as well. So it's a good communication. It's a good place for people to start getting reach out to us, to everybody in the community, I think.
My only recommendation is that we observe we have some intentional choice of how many channels we create in the official one, the CNCF one, and we then observe if people join that one. Obviously, we have to put it on the website as well, but like the Kubeflow stack is quite active. That's all I'm just saying. I worry that we might break that. I know that it's suboptimal. I just really don't want to break the momentum it has. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Yuan, for the update on the steering committee. We are bringing the issues that are being raised up. We're discussing them. There were a few others that we discussed too, and we didn't get to a decision on, but a lot of these decisions, there's not one clear best answer. There's no right answer. Sometimes there just needs to be an answer. So I hope folks will appreciate that, the community representatives listen to everyone and tried to make a decision and try to move forward on some of these items. So let's move on
Can I
to,
have just two cents
Yeah.
here, please?
yeah, sure.
Just a quick question for you, Mighty. Do you think like, keeping the announcement channels in Kubeflow Slack makes sense for the long term?
It
Like
depends on
just
what you mean.
like just an announcement channel just for us to communicate with existing users on the Kubeflow Slack.
Well, obviously, we're not going to delete the old Slack. So everyone who's in the old Slack will still be there, if you know what I mean. My biggest concern is just making sure that we don't send a confusing message. And, there's nearly 11,000 people in it, right? So the likelihood is that maybe 5% of them will move at most. So like
We just don't know what is going to do on this. Matthew and Andre, we've talked about this issue over and over. The steering committee made a decision, right? We're going to try to move forward with that the best way we can. There's no great answer here.
Yeah, we've gone a lot of iterations of different questions, and we hope you appreciate our result. And if you are just worried about the messaging, we can work on that.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. I mean, we do have a lot of folks. So if we can, let's keep moving because there's just a lot of other items we need to get to. The Google Summer of Code. I believe that was it Ramesh that put this together, I believe. And did we get this all submitted? Is there anything else we need to do for the Google Summer of Code, or does anybody have an update on this?
I'm not working on it, but I helped them make the website link there because they needed that for the submission to Google. But it probably does need to be cleaned up a little bit. It's a bit messy a little bit, that page, but it's better than nothing. Also,
I
as you
thought it
can
was pretty good, actually.
not the actual code. It's more not the code. I mean the words. It's more like just the formatting's a little bit strange in some parts, but like the skills required is not really a list. It's more like a weird.
So, I mean, this is really great, right? I think people to work on Notebooks 2.0, rootless, container images, triaging and categorizing. I mean, this actually is a very important skill for a lot of folks, right, that want to run community. Implementing LLM, tuning API, the JAX operator, metrics collection for CATIB. I mean, these are all really cool projects. So hopefully, and I appreciate everybody's work to get this on here. But I'm glad to see. And did that get submitted? Is there something else we need to do, or is Ramesh here? Or
He can't unmute himself for some reason. I've clicked the button to try and unmute, but he's messaging right now saying he submitted the application a couple of days ago.
okay, well, cool. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Kubeflow Summit, KubeCon. Looks like we have a website or a web page up here. What's this look like here? Oh, wow, very fancy. So
Yes,
is
so we
it
also updated
you,
that link.
Matthew, or you
I didn't
and
make this part of the website, but I did update the link with
Mhm.
the help of Ramesh. Brother Ramesh is saying in the comments, if you have updates to the proposals for your thingy, you should, for your Google Summer of Code, you should make a PR on that website because that's the source of truth that the students look at. Because the process is that they make a request, you know what I mean? Like they make a proposal to the project.
let's see if they're
Just a
registered
quick
now. It's always good to click into these clicks and see if these things actually work.
Just a quick question to you, Ramesh, since you're here. Did you actually add the AI section when you submit the proposal? Because I remember like it was the message from GSOC organizers that they will prioritize the projects which is under AML space this year.
He did, he
Yeah.
says.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is it that we need to do with the Kubeflow Summit? Do we need to start promote? This is already on the website. Is that right, Matthew? I see, like, if you go on to kubeflow.org, you see a banner pop up or something.
Yep. So we did that. It is at the point now where it's very close. So it is very, very expensive. And obviously that's not accounting for travel if you're not in that part of the world. I don't know who's actually running it. Obviously, you can see that there's an agenda and people are talking at the thing. It's sponsored by Canonical Red Hat, whatnot. Of course, to be able to attend, you also have to purchase a ticket to the overall KubeCon, which is why it's so expensive. And also, it's only one day, whereas KubeCon is many days. I don't know the exact number.
So this is the Kubeflow Summit agenda.
Which is one day of KubeCon, if you will. Like it's a co-located event. So there's
it's
obviously
really
other
cool.
events happening on that exact day.
So we've got a CERN thing. We have a PepsiCo. We have some stuff from Broadcom and Red Hat. Helmut Schmidt University. A little bit more on Red Hat. Got some stuff on AutoML. Roche,
So if you-
IBM.
I think it's most applicable to people who are already attending KubeCon, but yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that's a great agenda. I appreciate everybody's effort to put that together. Hopefully you can attend. Okay, let's keep going. Spark operator. Let's see here. Who would help me with this? Andre, is
Yeah,
this
just
something you can give us an update on?
yeah. So on just a quick thing on Summit. So we don't have Amber on the call right now because I think it will be possible to attend virtually. I'm not sure about this Europe thing this year. I think they kind of like don't have this option to attend it, right? Because in previous KubeCon you were able to actually check the recordings online.
I might add here, Andre, now, so KubeCon always publishes all the recordings after that under the CNCF channel.
Yes, Andre, you don't know like if they're going to have a live live stream on this Europe KubeCon this year.
They usually are. So in the last 3 years, they're always streamed live as well. They usually announce that a bit later.
Yeah, because I heard like this will be like a KubeCon only like on site without virtual attendance, which might require folks to travel, right? But I might be wrong, like I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, let's see. Maybe Amber has like more information next time. Not today.
So your question's about virtual attendees and virtual
Yeah.
speakers, perhaps?
Yes, that's correct. Because like if they don't have like a virtual speakers, I mean I think it's possible to attend like speakers can attend virtually, but the audience cannot listen virtually because it only be on site. Because I think like the problem was like they like it's very it's very expensive for them to sponsor the like live attendance because the recordings is available on next day, right? There's no reason for them to actually have a live stream.
Yeah, well, okay. So what is there a particular action item out of this that we need to work on? Is there a live stream? Is there a recording? Is that what we're asking at this point?
No, I think like I mean, I think it's up to KubeCon organizers and these collocated event organizers. Yeah, so I think like we just need to wait maybe next week for Amber opinion on this and maybe more information. So let's see.
Makes sense. All right.
Right, yeah, I think we can move on. So for Spark, we don't have James right here on the call today. Or do we? See James here.
James
I think
Liu?
we have only James Wu. Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, James Liu. You're looking for James Liu.
I mean, if you just can give us any updates from the Google sites, if you have anything for Spark Operator, would be nice. But if not, we can just.
I don't think there's any updates from last week on this.
I see. I think like I just saw the message from James that I think it was from Marcin that we just got one more approval. So it seems like things are moving. So hopefully, like, maybe next week we're gonna have more kind of information. And I also like discuss with like War and Chara like in terms of the meeting. I think these folks like they want to like wait until the Spark operator will have like the official transfer and then set up a call. And we already have a channel like on the Kubeflow Slack right now with called Kubeflow Slack operator, and maybe I can just put it on the meeting notes. And we saw some questions there already. So you feel like interesting in terms of Spark operator, like if I have any questions or comments, maybe just try to use this Slack right now, right?
Okay, I'll just follow up with James Liu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally would like to see this momentum continue on this and some type of formalization around. I get we have to wait till the repo changes, but this was a little magic in terms of the timeline when we did Kubeflow cutover, but it happened. I hate to lose a bunch of momentum on this, especially with 1.9 coming out. Is there anything in the Spark operator that could be enhanced that would make it work better with Kubeflow in 1.9? Is there anything that we are going to do?
To be honest, I think to be honest, I think for 1.9 we just need to move it as the part of the core components. I mean, this is my like thought, like maybe like initially we just need to install it as this like, separate operator in the Kubeflow system namespace. And because it really depends like how much time the contributors just going to have until the release, right? And maybe like but
so is that a manifest type activity that it would need to be installed?
Yeah, go ahead, Farah.
Just to add to what Andre said, I spoke to a couple of customers who are using Kubeflow at the moment, and they also mentioned to me that they are using Spark Operator, but they could not trigger Spark Operator jobs from the Kubeflow, and they requested an integration that from the Kubeflow they can use Spark Operator. I don't have the full picture, but that is some the integration that can be added for the Kubeflow with the Spark operator could help all the Kubeflow customers.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this part. I think it would be nice if like we can track it somewhere, maybe in the issues once we transfer the repo, because I want to learn more about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for right now, if someone has an idea for an integration or a feature or something like that, they put it into the Slack channel. Is that where we're asking people to go for right now?
Yeah, it's a good question, George. Maybe like we can ask them to put it directly on the issue that I created, just for to keep the historical, because the Slack will be deleted, right? The history of Slack. So, what do you think, Josh? Before the transfer, does it make sense to comment this on this issue that I created, or where do you think the best place for users to leave the comments?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe we put it in the CNCF. Slack channel,
Yeah.
because we won't lose the history. I mean, maybe this is on things that are delineated, that we can delineate at this point, and we're starting new. Maybe it makes sense to put it in the CNCF Slack. I mean, for now.
Also, by the way, as a quick sign about the history thing, anything that needs history should be done on GitHub itself, like talked about publicly.
Right, but we don't have a GitHub repo for this yet, right? We're waiting for the repo transfer. So until we have that, we need some interim.
I mean, you could use the community repo issue, probably.
I mean, we can ask users to comment, and I will transfer this to the issues afterwards. But I mean,
Yeah,
Josh
we
is
can
just
put it in the Kubeflow, and then we'll have even more stuff in Kubeflow.
No, I mean, there's a
Yeah.
community. Oh God, no, please. But there's a there's a repo called community which could be also used.
or we can
Okay,
just use.
we'll figure this out, but it would be good for us to, in my opinion, if we're moving this forward. Go ahead, James.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So just want to share a little bit of kind of like my thinking over here, because in the Kubeflow training operator repo, like we have multiple training operator inside a single repo. If this becomes very difficult to migrate the Spark operator, have you guys considered making Spark operator a subfolder of like training operator?
Yeah, I think the same thing there, like we can do fork, right, James? I think the point is there, like we really want to keep like the issue in PR history in this new repo, right? And I mean, similar what you use, like propose creating the folder in the training operator, we can just have a fork of Google Spark operator and just do whatever we can, right? I think the main point was, yes, is also Johan said, keeping stars, issues, and PRs and make it official, right? Because many folks right now going through Google GitHub, GCP GitHub to the Spark operator, right?
Yes, I understand. So just want to point out one thing, like if we make it a subfolder, that means that the structure itself in the Spark operator is going to change anyway. So if you are saying fork, yes, we can do the forking. But at the meantime, it probably kind of like differ Spark operator from all the existing Kubeflow training operator in the current Kubeflow repo. So just want to kind of like share that, like, maybe we can do it in parallel if you accept. But like, it's just an idea. I understand that like we don't want to lose PR, we don't want to lose star and everything. But like, it's probably a question to the way that we organize training operator repo that we are already following. Yeah.
So
Go
yeah,
ahead.
so I think also like the what like Vara said, like we want to keep this separate intentionally, because like similar to API, Spark operator is a separate component that some customers use independently, like API operator, right? So the API operator lives like independently of training operator, right? Like there are like some relationship between these two projects, but we want to also support customers who just want to use Spark, right? Without
see.
other part, yeah, training operator components. Right?
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, thank you for explaining. Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
So-
Anyway, we'll organize this over. We should get some clear communication by the end of the month, at least, Andre, about where we're going with this, about how in the near term, even if we don't have the repo, I think we need some way for people to start providing.
So my proposal is that, like, as long as we have any other better idea, like just users who just want to see some features, just comment on the issue. And once we have like this, a transfer, I will like create a separate issues for all of your requests. And also I need to find a person, maybe it's a question to you, or like who I can like, how we can triage the questions on Slack. Like, do I have anyone who can help people to get answers? Because like I see multiple like questions on Slack even today, right?
Right. So we need some help here. We need some community support on this, right?
Yeah. So do we have anyone who just can volunteer to help, like to answer, users' questions?
All right. Well, we know that sometimes either people aren't available or don't speak up during a meeting, but let's capture that as an item that we need some help on under the Spark operator updates. And let's keep moving forward because we have 20 minutes left. I want to see if we can, anything else on the Spark operator? I think we're good here, right?
Yeah, let's move.
Model registry. I don't know, Ramesh, do you have audio or is anybody else want to give an update?
Hi,
Okay.
Josh. This is Matteo from the registry. I can take on this one. So I followed up on an action item that we had in the previous Kubeflow community meeting. So this meeting, so as discussed, we raised a bi-weekly meeting schedule. Because the model registry is belonging as written in the notes, like Spark operator under the working group data that is being formed. In the meantime, we are starting the work with separate meetings. So there is in the Kubeflow discuss mailing list already the information about this schedule with also the connections that is available in the meeting notes that you see there. There is as well the pull request to add the shared calendar for this recurrent meeting. So that is a PR number 696. Can use some approval and merging if that is fine. We are starting with tomorrow and we are doing it every other week. For tomorrow, we are starting as an agenda to have a quick status update and discussion on some of the questions that are coming from the Kubeflow 1.9 release team. And so that is good point of discussion for these community meetings. Shout out to Ricardo that helped me to sort of like get the direction for the shared calendar and how to communicate on the mailing list. And that is for what is coming up from model registry team. Thank you, Josh.
Okay, so you need approval on adding this into the calendar? Is that?
Yes.
All right. I mean, at least from what I can tell, looks good to me, but maybe there's others here that can comment on this and move this forward. Thank you for that update. Thank you for organizing this. We're real excited to make this move forward. So, good. Any questions on the model registry? Okay. Since Alex joined in, and I want to see if we have, and he's been patient. It's 45 minutes in. Alex, is there you want to talk about the conformance program? James Wu, you're here. We had some questions about the conformance. What is the question, and what do we need to work on here for you, Alex?
Josh, thank you for the time. So I see on your main webpage you have a couple of distributions when you go to package distribution of Kubeflow, and I see active distribution list. It's a list you have there. I don't know if the distributions went through a conformance problem, but happy to have Kubo be conformant. So a couple of notes: our team got Kubo working in Windows WSL2 with the NVIDIA GPU operator in Docker and Docker, which performance is amazing because there is no virtualization. So as far as I know, it's the only distribution that allows to deploy, a Kubeflow with GPU support from NVIDIA in Windows. We have it fully documented. We have it documented also for Linux. So I'd like to understand the conformance program to be able to, make it to the list or have some conformance like we do have it in the conformance for Kubernetes. So that was the main question.
Yeah, just to quickly clarify, the list currently doesn't have any conformance requirement. The requirement was ambiguous at best. So I guess probably the steering committee can now decide if someone's added temporarily. But the conformance program was a thing we started a while ago while James was working on. I don't know if James has had any updates.
Yeah, no, I think Matthew is correct. So so the program was initiated, well, it's not initiated, but it was in development maybe a year and a half ago. And we got to the point where we had, I think, two or three components onboarded to this program, so we were able to run the test. But then after that, I think the I just didn't have time to push it through. So now that we have, so now that I think we have a steering committee now, I think it's a good time to kind of revisit the program again. So so I hope in the midterm we can basically clean up all the tests, define the program. There probably need to be some documentation changes as well. But in the short term, I wonder if we could just add your distribution to the list. They're not going to be Kubeflow certified distribution. So when that program starts, I guess all the distributions need to go through the conformance again. Need to go through conformance, but right now maybe the temporary approach is to just add your distribution.
That would be great if that's possible while we work, and happy again to engage with you guys and run the certifications on our software and help you also with the certification. Our team is pretty familiar with the certification for the CNCF for Kubernetes itself. And also we'll encourage people, there's Kubo Community Edition running in Windows. So they can actually run it. This is running the latest PR from NVIDIA. People from NVIDIA were pretty excited that now they can run a Kubeflow with Kubernetes in Windows. Without virtual machines. So if there any way, let me know what you need in terms of documentation. Happy to provide it or test. So I can make it to that active distribution list. That will be my goal.
Well, just the quick questions are, what's the name of the distribution? What's the maintainer? And what are the target platforms?
Perfect. Yeah. I can tell you here, or I can just give me a contact info and I can send you all the information.
I mean, you
so
can
it's
make the
Linux.
PR yourself, but yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear from Josh and the steering committee members and what they think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a PR needs to be raised that you want to add into the table. It would be good to know what version you tested with. It would be good on that PR. Obviously, you need to provide the docs that support. If you look at all the others, there's a page that we link to that the distributions support. So we'd like to see how the end user actually will get to your website and get to information about how you're supporting them. But I think this is great. I think this is a new market segment that we're not supporting today. So I really want to congratulate you. But we also are conscious about who we promote to the community. And so, there'll be another release coming up in 1.9. And, we want to make sure that you understand that there is an obligation if you want to stay in the active part of the distributions that you do need to stay with the current Kubeflow releases.
Yeah, I do understand that. And the whole goal of my distribution is to work with Metal performance, because you remove virtualization. So any AI workload directly into as an isolated process instead of a virtual machine. My goal is to keep up with the main projects that they're pushing the boundaries of machine learning and AI. So when you look at my website, is everything about AI in Kubernetes and machine learning, and you are on top of my list for that. So happy to follow the releases and work with you in any new release. Regarding the documentation, I have specific versions of NVIDIA GPU, Kubeflow, and full instructions. If I'm missing anything, just let me know. Happy to get engineering working and produce what you need.
So is it an open source project? I mean, it's not.
There is a community edition.
But yeah.
There is a community edition. It's free to use. Yeah.
Is it on GitHub? Do you have a link so we can take a quick
look?
look?
Yeah. It's ce.kubo.io. That's the community edition, and there is also a cloud version. But the community edition is fully supported in Windows with WSL2 and in Linux with GPU operator. And basically, I'm using it's an API using kind Kubernetes images.
I'm just trying to find it. Is it?
Yeah. Okay. I can put it here on the Slack channel. So.
All right. So I think we have next steps on this. I want to make sure, Alex, that we appreciate you coming. Hopefully, we've given you a process you could fill out the PR and we'll get you engaged appropriately with the right review.
Yeah, just
Perfect.
quickly, yeah, also just to add on this, Josh, thank you for sharing this, Alex. I think like as I think Johan probably said like about the conformance charter that we need to establish. So if I remember correctly, we're kind of like looking for help from the community to establish the charter, right? James. So soon we kind of like, because we need to have like the conformance committee very soon, right? Because this conformance program, we should actually make it, you know, relatively soon for all of the components of Kubeflow. So we can say how distributions can be conformed with Kubeflow, right? So I think like once we have like a quick steps on the like establishing charter, if you could help us with this, Alex, that would be nice.
100%. I will be happy to help you with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that brings up the second part, is this conformance program, which I think really needs to go back to the steering committee, and we need to form, I think there's actually supposed to be a conformance committee.
Yep.
So that'll be another set of volunteers that we need. I think they also do trademarks. We also have to figure out how we do adoption, user adoption and outreach. So there was kind of a, anyway, let's put that on the agenda. Community or steering committee members, we need to figure out how we're going to bring this staff, this conformance program appropriately. Let's keep going. If we could, AutoML and training working group, new meeting time.
Yeah, just quickly. So please feel like let us know like what time works for you to attend the meetings, because like we have like right now we have two bi-weekly meetings. Once is happening in 1 a.m. UTC, which is like time for Europe and Asia Pacific to attend, but for US folks it's quite early. And another time is 5 p.m. UTC, which is Euro friendly and Pacific friendly, but not for Asia Pacific. So we kind of like have several like options for you to choose from, and let us know what time works to attend these meetings. So we can like maybe we're gonna have like more attendance on every kind of, you know, bi-weekly call, so we can cover the whole you know, world. Is hard, but we're trying to find a better time.
Yeah, this time works for me. I'm in San Francisco. Happy if you don't mind inviting me to the calls you have. Happy to join the calls.
Just join the Kubeflow Discuss, and if you have a Google account, all of them will be added to your calendar, or you can go on the website and add specific ones to your calendar.
Perfect. I'll do that then.
Yeah, just go on the go to the community page on kubeflow.org.
Okay, I'll look for it. Thank you.
Yeah, I will send the links here in the notes, but we can move on, Josh.
All right, great. And how is, just since we're talking about AutoML and training, how is the LLM API feature coming along? Is that basically in test now, or are you getting end users engaged? What's going on with that?
So I can talk about it. So we have set of like users who are trying it, and initial feedback is good, and we would really like to have more users there. And we have got few extra feature requests regarding that, and we are trying to add that as well. So one other request that we have got is to add more adapters for model providers and dataset providers. Currently, we have the Hugging Face datasets and the object store support. For example, a dataset lying in S3. So we would like to add more data stores, and really like to have community support as well to add more popular frameworks to that. So in a couple of weeks from now, we should be all good with respect to a very all-rounded feature like with LLM support in training operator.
So if you could sum up the benefit of this, is this in a sentence or two, what would be, why are users so interested in this?
Yes, the answer is simple. Someone who doesn't have any knowledge about infra and specifically data scientist. So till now, we didn't have a way to abstract it out entirely. Right now, someone who actually wants to run a training job without understanding anything about TensorFlow or TensorFlow operator or the PyTorch operator underneath, they can purely from SDK, which talks about a data scientist language of specifying the training process. All the parameters that you are seeing are specific to the training job, right? Which is very familiar for from a data scientist perspective. So an SDK, which is completely focused on the data scientist, is out there, which is the train API, which completely hides your underlying infra, where you just need to say how many GPUs per node and how many nodes you want, and it scales out automatically. And the only configuration that you need is provide a Hugging Face model, for example. That's the model provider that we have added. Now we can add, that's an extendable interface as well. And also we can add where the data sets lie, like it can be an object store, which is one of that, and then it can be Hugging Face data set as well. So purely from purely talking from a data scientist language, we are able to come up with a full-scale multi-GPU, multi-node training.
And this is a Pythonic SDK.
Yes, it's a part of the Kubeflow training operator SDK.
All right. Well, that should be very helpful and useful, especially for folks that need to do fine tuning. Very much interested in seeing this being delivered and into the marketplace and helping people bring their data into models, right? Extending foundation models. I assume this is the purpose of the fine tuning capability. Or the
Exactly.
training?
Exactly. So someone could adapt a popular Llama model with their data set using this SDK.
Okay. Let's keep going. I think this move Kubeflow on AWS and installing the Kubeflow styles, this was discussed in the Kubeflow steering committee. And there's still work to be done on this. So we'll come back and touch on this as soon as the steering committee has made some more work on that. Clean up external add-ons and add GitHub links.
So yeah, this one is this one's the current external add-on section is pretty crazy. It's very out of date. It's some of it's kind of strange marketing written by other projects. But the main things this does is it adds GitHub links to both our projects and the external ones. So it adds just a link to the repository which contains that component, which helps users find it, because it's really hard to find right now if you don't know a lot about the project. So, you know, if you have pipelines, you may not know that Kubeflow contains notebooks, but it doesn't contain pipelines, for example, right? You know, like we're talking about earlier. Anyway, so that's one thing that this does. But if you roll down further, that's just a simple change. But the other change is that it groups the sections under external add-ons by, it orders them so that KServer's at the top. It gives KServer a bit better of a introduction and links off to their website and GitHub as well, and also everyone else on that list as well. Of course, subsequently to this PR being made, Selden Core has stopped being open source, so maybe we should remove that. But yeah, so effectively the goal is that each of the introduction sections, there's not a lot of content changes other than like some styling changes and maybe a little bit of moving around, but it's just like the current state is, you know, there's some weirdness going on the left-hand side here in this section. Normally, like currently there's like there's a folder called model serving, which under it has like some random things which are not even supported anymore and a bunch of other things, whereas this just says each section under here is a project, an external project, which has some relation to Kubeflow. And so the questions that get answered under the introduction of each are stuff like, what is it? Why is it related to Kubeflow? And how do I use it with Kubeflow? Those are kind of the questions that it answers. And so since they're not our projects, they're just links to external websites, that's the kind of the main things that a Kubeflow user would want to know.
Where are those questions answered?
So if you scroll down and just look at the preview of the page, it's probably easier. So it's quite an old version of the website now. So also, yeah, Andre did make some comments, but I need to keep going down to the bottom though. Keep going.
Is there another page?
So if you go to the preview, you know how to get to the preview? Just on the down the very bottom.
Oh, I didn't know on the bottom you can get to a preview. Sorry, I didn't.
And then down the very, very, very bottom, it's under the commit checks, down the last one called deploy, and then hit details. I know it's a bit weird, but click the details button on the bottom. No. On the pre-commit checks.
Pre-commit checks.
So like that one, yeah, the green box, yep. And now on that one, and then hit the details button on that bottom row. Detail, not right axis, not right axis. Details on the right-hand side. Right-hand side.
Sorry, I got a dog barking in my, so I can't. Maybe I can give you
the details on the right-hand side. Just click the details button on the right-hand side. There we go. So this will be a slightly old version of the website because this PR was made a while ago, but the external add-on section. So if you click getting started, this is just the whole website in preview form. Getting started. And then if you go to the left-hand side, so again, there will have been other changes, but if you click, so that I also added installing Kubeflow a star there. That's another thing to help people click that button because that's the one they should go to first. But that nothing else changed in this section. Well, again, you're going to see the old version of this page, so it's not useful, but open up external add-ons on the left-hand side.
On the left-hand side, external add-ons, I don't see, down here.
Yeah. So that was already there, but what it's done is it now grouped them. So it added that add-on ownership. These add-ons are not owned or maintained. That's one thing that was warning added. Now, if you click Kserve, you'll see introduction, model web app, and the links to their things. So if you click the top one, the introduction, so there's not much content change here, but it's just making sure that every one of these introduction pages, most of them only get an introduction. Kserve gets a second one called model web app because it was already there. But it gets what is X, and then it gets how is Kubeflow related to it, and it's really just, and so obviously these projects can, or our community can decide what they say about them. It's just getting it back to a state where it's maintainable again.
Yeah, I'm a little cautious about having this information on our website rather than just linking to the third party.
So that's most of the time it only just gets what is this and then how is it related to Kubeflow? And then how do I use it with Kubeflow? Because all of the things on this list are in some way connected to Kubeflow, either through history or through the manifest repo they contain. We have manifest to deploy their tool.
All right.
So yeah, we can choose to remove things as we wish, but yeah, that's what this PR does. It moves everything around. It just, if you look at the current one, you'll see how bad it is, but yeah.
Okay, so what are you asking people to do? Review?
Just make sure that there's nothing super offensive that has changed there. Like if you don't like the star, for example, on the installing Kubeflow, or obviously that change maybe could be a separate PR. But by the way, Jan was putting up his hand, but I don't know if he wants to talk still.
Yeah, I just felt like this is really hard to maintain, and all the readmes, all the intros for those projects can easily get outdated.
That might be true, but currently we've already got them on the website. This is just about bringing it all back together and updating it for as it was a couple of months ago, at least. So and also because the current structure is just really strange. The problem is that right now people go on the Kubeflow website and don't really understand that that's just an external tool that's not part of Kubeflow that can be used with Kubeflow, because it answers the question, okay, so if it's external tool but it's related to Kubeflow, how is it related? And that's what that PR answers. But
yeah, it makes sense to add like descriptions for the relations between Kubeflow, but I'm suggesting like removing the actual content, including like architecture diagrams and so on.
Well, I mean, that's more Kserve only gets that. Kserve got special treatment, so, but like, I didn't rewrite any of that. I just kept it. But the other ones just get a what is it? So like, it's BentoML Yati. It's like a thing which lets you serve whatever, I mean, it explains that. But yeah, it is taking what they had already on the website, because almost all these tools, well, all the tools have a page on the website already. They're just really out of date or structured strangely. it's a really hard one to do because it requires a big cleanup. It's like it's the last really big cleanup on the website. Like over the last few years, I've been working on cleaning up every section of the website. This is the last really big cleanup that needs to be done. So like my preference is that people take a review of it, which Andre has. I haven't had a chance to go through his comments yet, sorry. But if there's nothing super offensive, that we merge it and then remove stuff that we don't like afterwards, if you will. Because like as long as there's nothing offensive and it's all correct from the community's perspective, it's like what we want to send as a message. Then it gets us to a state where, you know, all the redirects correctly work, so that then it's, if we want to remove a page, then it's much more easy. And also it adds those links to the repost, which I do think is useful, and also the external websites, which is also useful because currently those external projects don't have links to their websites. Yeah, it's like, it's the last big website update, really. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is directionally correct, and thank you, Matthew, for all the thought and tactical work that you put into this, and I think that we should support it. We do need to go through it and review it. When does it make sense that we get this kind of reviewed and decide? I mean, it almost to me sounds like this would be better split into two PRs, but now that you have it in one, maybe we can do it all in one shot, you know?
So the reason it has to be in one is because the current structure is really weird. Like, so the current structure of this section is like nested in strange ways. So the redirects become very hard to make if you don't do it in one.
Got it.
Yeah. That's the main reason. But also, I agree that there is two distinct things happening here, which is refactoring the external add-ons and adding those sidebar links. But the sidebar links, I think, aren't that controversial. So like that's, and the only thing that might be controversial is the wording of some of the descriptions of the tools. But since they're not really our tools other than Kserve, it's probably less of a concern. And also, again, I'm taking the words that were pretty much already on the website, just adding headings that say what is X, and reformatting the actual markdown, because in a lot of cases it was kind of strangely formatted. But
okay, well, this is a pretty major change. I would like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
We could get this done. I think it does make sense to make it cleaner. So we'll talk about it in different groups, but you want people to comment over the next week or two, and then let's get this kind of tried to resolve.
Yeah, so like just there's a lot of changes. It's very hard to review. I agree. I'm sorry about that. But the actual diff is a lot smaller than it looks like. Most of the content is still the same. The diff is mostly reformatting and making sure that, you know, images are using the new image formats. And so like it is possible to review, but like my recommendation is that we don't get too caught up in the wordings, because what we do is then like, or just browse the website. Like my recommendation is go to that preview like we showed, browse the website and see if it feels right to you, if you know what I mean. Like rather than looking at the exact diff.
Yeah, I guess, you know, it would be nice to have somebody from the Kserve community, Bento ML, perhaps the Feast community, at least comment on it, or comment on after it gets changed, that they seem that it's okay and they can go and modify it from there. But
so a lot of cases it's actually their team that wrote it originally on the website, and it's just been moved around now, so it's more highlighted. That's all. So the only issue that we have as a community is, do we want to promote some of these projects anymore? Only two of them have kind of changed status a little bit since this PR was made, which is the Selden one. There's also the ML Run one, which the only reason I kept it there, and I justified it in the actual thing as to when I was investigating how it was related to Kubeflow, which was ML Run seems like a competing project to me, but the answer of I forget exactly why it's related to Kubeflow. So like we could just remove that one, honestly. But so the two at the bottom, which I've ordered them by kind of importance, which is Selden Core and ML Run, maybe we should just remove them. But yeah, but since they already exist on the website, we might as well, like there's no harm in redirecting them all here with this PR and then removing them later once we agree that they're not actually related to Kubeflow.
Just on this Yeah, sorry, I know we're time. I think we discussed several times previously that we need to do something with external other add-ons, right? Because like it's also it's like similar to distributions, like we're gonna confuse users to tell them all the tools that not been updated for years, right? So maybe relatively soon, and maybe we can find something who can help us with this. Just decide what we can do with the, with external add-on structure, right? Add-on structure.
Well, that's
And
more the project you mean, or the website?
I mean, the website is actually like should be the up-to-date information for users. What kind of like parts, what kind of third-party components integrated with Kubeflow, right?
Which is what this I've watched what this update does, with the exception of ML Run and Selden, because they've changed in the last year, but in the last 6 months, since this PR. But
because the thing is, like, I really want everyone, maintainer of this project to review your change much. No one else replied to my comments for 3 weeks, which like created a little bit of concern, like from my side. Like, are they really active? Do they still want to be part of Kubeflow ecosystem?
so the two at the top, so there's only 5 things. If we list them out, Kserve, definitely, obviously, right? Feast is complicated, but is currently in progress to becoming a main open source project, and it looks like it's definitely going to survive. So I don't want to remove that one yet, but they're definitely not in a position to, like, they're just getting their stuff in order first, because they recently had their commercial backing pull out, but other companies have now stepped in and are maintaining it. But I definitely know that's going to be fine. Elira is complicated, but it does still exist, and it might as well be correct on the website. That's my thought process. BentoML Yati is a bit more complicated, I agree. Selden Core is no longer open source, so we could just remove that potentially. ML Run maybe is a competing project, so we could just remove it, but there's no real harm in listing it, I don't think.
Yeah, my only point here, like, we just need to keep this, items up to date, right?
Well, it's a lot easier when they're in their own sections, but
yeah, I understand. But I mean, like, I just think we need to find a process similar to, distributions. For example, like if they, like, not going to use the new version of Kubeflow for like maybe 6 months, we're just going to remove them, right? Because I don't see any like reason to keep the projects like which using, for example, Kubeflow 1.2, right? In their part of.
So external add-ons in this case doesn't necessarily, I mean, in the case of Kserve, it's kind of related really strongly, but in the case of stuff like Feast and ML Run and other ones, like, it's more like as part of an overall ML ecosystem, you could install it. And it's not like Feast is related to Kubeflow because, they have manifests that are related, but others, like, all I'm saying is, it's the purpose of this page is to be more like, who's our friends of projects that are related, sometimes very directly, like Kserve, and other times just because people use Kubeflow and it very commonly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, like, I can give you stuff on the Kubernetes, right? We have the Kubernetes in the contrib section. I think Julius like was working on this to integrate Kubernetes with the Kubeflow notebooks together, right?
So that's the thing. We could put Kubernetes on that list. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So my point is, like, we need to understand the process for external add-ons, how we're going to keep them updated. Because, for example, if Kubeflow notebooks in the next release are just not going to support Kubernetes, we have to do the change or we have to remove it, right? Because people cannot use Kubernetes with Kubeflow notebooks, for example, like in 1.9, right? So we need to understand what kind of like, relationship between this external add-ons and the Kubeflow ecosystem should be, right? Because yes, all these tools, they're just how you can do machine learning on Kubernetes, right? But what is part of Kubeflow making them, better, and why they want to have these integrations, right? Because probably Kubeflow has the ecosystem of different components that they want to integrate with, right? This is my thought, right?
Yeah,
like
yes.
the rare, right? But other things, we need to find like the way how we can keep this external.
So my original proposal, which was kind of meant to happen after this was merged, was that to be an external add-on, you have to either be, there'll be 2 kinds. They'll be still probably listed in the same section, but the first kind is one which is deployed alongside Kubeflow, as a, like, either in the manifest repo or just has a way that they provide a way to help people do that. And the other one was you integrate with Kubeflow, like you said, Kubre, stuff like like, you could even argue that some like machine learning libraries might meet that other one where they can be triggered from Kubeflow pipelines and things like that,
Yeah, and I think like the question we need to answer, like, do we want to have this as part of Kubeflow, right? Because like I hope this kind of conformance program will help us to answer this question. Because like we don't want to like say, hey, if you can deploy your packages in Kubernetes, you can be part of Kubeflow if you do some AML, right? Because like we need to define what is this exactly be part of this ecosystem, right?
Oh, I'd love to do that. This website update is really more about keeping the current stuff that's there. Yeah, and absolutely, I want to have that discussion. I just think that discussion is even harder than the refactoring of the website discussion. That's my So anyway, Josh, my kind of request is that, obviously, Andre, I will respond to your comments. I don't think they're that big, if I remember rightly, but you mostly just tagged the people who maintained those components and they didn't respond. So, if everyone's happy and the steering committee is happy to just merge it, as long as they just do a quick review, make sure I haven't snuck anything like, oh, Matthew is the best person in the world, you know what I mean? And then, yeah, and then, yeah, that's my recommendation. Just browse the website under the new external add-on section. If you're still happy, remember you'll still see the old version of every other part of the website, just because the way the previews work, but like really old, as in from months ago. But yeah.
Okay, that's a fair request. Thank you, Matthew. I think that we should adhere to that. The folks that are on the steering committee and others that can help with this tremendous work.
We're so close. We're so close to having the website fully clean and up to date. That's the last one, and it's been years in the making.
It has been, and your vision has really helped us. So tremendous. Okay, we're over time.
There is a Notebooks 2.0 meeting for anyone who happens to be here on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, which could be hard to attend for some people. We just alternate at the moment between 4:30 and 8 a.m. Yeah, we're still making progress. It's going to take time, and we need contributors. So if it's the architecture part, I understand is hard to contribute to, but once we get the architecture kind of somewhat nailed down, we can start allocating tasks, and we need people to pick them up. But yeah.
Perfect, guys. Thank you so much for having me here.
All right, thank you.